Alrighty, folks, we're live again from the Layer Forge studio, aka my living room. We are at what are we at? What are we at here? I think that we're at stream number 28. So you guys already know how it is. I have to manually post everything on social media. So what's going on here? Hey, we got another follower on X. We got a follower from Space Lady. Shout out to Space Lady. I met her in Las Vegas at the Rare Evo convention, and then last night Laura joined the Discord and was on stream as well. So hey, we are reaching new people. Um, we may not be getting the numbers, but we're getting the followers, we're getting the people where it matters, I guess. And let's copy this link here and let's paste that here. Okay. Obviously, well, I should say obviously, I should say we're going to continue to work on the project, uh, the Pharaoh Bee project. We're going to continue to work on that. We're getting really close to wrapping that up, which means that'll go into production, and then we can work on our project. That's right, we can work on our project. All right, we'll post that, and we'll remember that we will remember to send even my mom. I sent my mother a link to the Layer Forge. Let's see here. Let's make a post here and let's type in at followers. We don't have that many followers on Facebook, but maybe we'll rope one in. Maybe. There's a potential. We have 94 followers. Maybe one of them will hop on the stream. Let's see here. I gotta hop in the Discord. Oh, what's going on here? What is happening here? Um, am I getting? Let me see here. What's going on here? I thought. Well, okay, what is this? How come stream mode enabled friends? It seems like I have a direct message from who? I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know what's going on, guys. All right, what do we got here? God damn, man. Lightning is on point. Lightning has already dropped the stream link in the Discord. Shout out to Lightning, man. He's on top of it all. I appreciate you, man. Really, I do. Um, let me try to close. Okay, maybe it was trying to do some streamer mode. I don't know what. I've never seen that before. Maybe they're trying to rope me into paying for Discord Nitro by showing me some features I maybe don't care all that much about. I'm happy with just making sure all my live streams make it to YouTube, and then when the time is right, we can harness all those clips and turn them into awesome content. Oh, look at this. Injecto Action Box is currently on sale. Is it? The last thing I need right now is another payment plan. The last thing I need right now is for me to be buying something. That would be crazy. Not sure. No, 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 no. I'm not sure. Like, am I gonna be buying? No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Let me just read some. I was having this brief discussion, actually, with my mom, ironically. Not that she probably could care less, but I was talking about how do I go from making 100 miniatures to 1,000, right? So we went to Rare Revo and we gave out like I don't know. I would put it somewhere around about 150 pieces that we handed out. Obviously, because they're so small, people liked it. I gave a lot of people more than one, right? But we still, nonetheless, handed out over 150 units. So now the question is, how do I produce 1,000 units relatively quickly as well? So I'm looking into potentially getting an injection molder, which I didn't think this is something that would be happening this year, but I don't see how I can produce 1,000 units in a week, for example, and go to a show and give them out, right? Um, at least that was kind of the idea was to start building such a large social media following through giving away promotional items, right? I mean, that's a key part of advertising and growing your brand is going to events and giving away free product, right? I mean, then the sky's the limit when you're going to events that have thousands of people, for example, think of like major events in your city and you're giving away hundreds and hundreds of pieces, you want extremely low cost and, fairly decent volume output. So I think there's a bigger potential of buying an injection molding machine than I thought. Just because, like, now we did our first prototype, how would you scale that up now? Like, okay, cool. We did that. Now, how do we get to the next level? And it's pretty pricey. Pretty pricey. But when there's a will, there's a way, right? From 3D printing to injection molding. And I heard that these 3D printed molds can last actually a decent amount of time. And what I was thinking, I just want to quickly search because it's in my head and it's burning. Um, I wanted to see. Okay, so it's made out of hips, and this can mold hips. So polystyrene or high impact polystyrene hips material, and I'm asking ChatGPT. Small batch manufacturing for hips, or I should say polystyrene versus metal. So small batch manufacturing for polystyrene versus metal casting cost analysis. And it says here for small tabletop miniature production runs, the biggest difference is tooling cost per part cost. This frame will be for something like 50 to 5,000 units where the economics really start to separate, which is kind of where we're at. Like, our first production batch, if you will, was like producing 150 units and it's not enough. Okay, so let's see what this is. Yeah, I think the AI just went off the walls. I didn't give it enough information, but I guess the idea would be 3D printing the mold and then putting it into a um, not automated but manually operated but push button operated, I guess you could call it, small injection machine. I think that would be awesome. And we would spoken hub everything. Like these guys are shooting like single or dual cavities. We'd be like shooting 8, 16 cavity if we can get away with it. If you think of like heads, the heads on a miniature are literally the size of a pea, quite literally. They're the size of a pea. So if you think of the size of a pea in a mold, you should be able to form 8 to 16 of those no problem. I'll have to do some studying, see what happens. Well, the good thing is, once we have the machine and we, excuse me, make the mold in house, a lot of the cost is R&D is not cost exuberant as long as we have all the equipment. Then we can kind of do whatever we need to do. So yeah, it was just kind of totally need to start sculpting this. Totally don't want to. I just want to like get sidetracked and look at molding machines. It's in my DNA, man. I used to set up and run large molding machine. We're talking about industrial level at that point. But I'm talking about something baby, something cute for me, something that I can use at home or maybe use at work after hours or on the weekend. Come in on a Saturday and try to produce as many parts as I can in 4 or 5 hours and call it a day. Yeah, so yeah. I guess the question was, does ladle pouring metal cheaper than injection molding? Because technically, one of those little pots that heats up um, pewter or casting metals is it's fairly inexpensive, like less than 500. Where if you go injection molding, even a small little molding machine, you're probably talking 3,000 minimum, not including all the accessories you're gonna need. So start stacking up and adding real fast. But first things first thing, I'm jumping the gun here, guys or ladies. Jumping the gun. The first thing is I gotta pay off this Vegas trip. As soon as the Vegas trip is paid off, then we can talk about other things. I'm just looking at. I'm still clearly distracted. Uh, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I could make this at work. Literally, between some machining and sheet metal parts, like 7-gauge sheet metal parts with some welding and a couple off-the-shelf parts, I could make something better than half this crap. I just have to get the electrical engineer at work to help me with some of the electronics, and half of this stuff could be 3D printed as far as a electrical enclosure for uh, the interface for setting the heaters. I mean, technically, you're just running wires to a heater and then to a thermistor. It's kind of simple. I feel like you can find something on McMaster Car and just like slightly modify it, and boom, you're done. You got you got yourself a makeshift small batch hand crank injection molding machine. Oh god, now I feel like segueing. I'm like, I really don't want to sculpt tonight, but I was like, just do it, man. Just do it. I know you don't want to, but you just get on there and I'm like, yo, let's go to McMaster Car real quick. Let's goof off. And what can we find on McMaster Car that we could retrofit? I'm looking at like hand pump, hand jacks, because that's kind of jacking rams. Like, I'm swear to God, there's got to be something you can buy that has like half of the equipment that you would need, and you would just need the ability to just tear some things apart and weld it with some other stuff, and boom, you're done. Like, there's not a whole lot here, you know? You basically just got some mechanical, simple mechanics, and you just gotta take some stuff to a bandsaw, weld some other stuff to it, and before you know it, boom, you got yourself the ability to force pellets down a shaft. It's like not very complicated, uh, in theory. You gotta remember, in theory, everything is not complicated. In reality, it's impossible. Anyway, that was an interesting sidetrack. I wonder if I could design something and then 3D print it to test mechanically if it works, and then um, source everything. Man, I'm going off the deep end today. Like, we're already on AliExpress. Looking at uh shit. We're on AliExpress right now looking at injection molding uh heater bands. Oh my god. It's so cheap. It's so cheap, man. This is so stupid. I could so build my own. I mean, if I built my own 3D printer once, I could definitely build this. It's much simpler. Much simpler. Yeah. I'm looking at some of these heater bands, and I mean, you're talking sub $25. Heater band with thermistor. Oh, this is like a 3D print style one. That's like an induction style one. Oh, this is like an all-in-one. Yeah, 40 millimeter inner diameter heater band with thermistor, $26. Yeah. It's literally a pipe with a heater band around it with a nozzle tip, and then you literally just ram a shaft through it, which is close enough to the tolerance to creep pressure. Not, I have a feeling I could build this for a fraction of the price of what some of these, what I'm gonna call politely, um, engineering students that decided to try to sell an industrial pile of shit to manufacturers that should know how to build their own stuff. So maybe during my lunch breaks, I'm gonna start designing stuff that helps me injection mold specifically for my application, which is really small little parts. So the whole apparatus in and of itself does not need to be large. Okay, so I'm going to pick up in the same manner that we did last time, which let's quickly run through what is still remaining here, just so that I can, it's personally for me, like I need to recap, where did I leave off here? So we have the details on the wings that are missing. All right, so we got that. We got the details. And what I'm going to do is just take that pattern, draw that pattern, and then we'll just kind of extrude that pattern out. And other than that, we got some adjustments here. I think we can kind of make this more of the focal point and kind of make it bigger and hide some of that body. Right, so we got that. We still have some detail with the eyebrow that needs to be complete. And then we have the monocle. So, I'm going to start off with a monocle today. Because that's the only big piece that's not there. And I think once that big piece is there, maybe it'll be easier to kind of see how much is really left or any kind of last minute modifications um, that we want. It's like now all the big pieces are there. Now we can make tweaks, get everything to the. Here's our little smiling snack, and we'll make some adjustments to that. I don't think we need as much body. We can probably cut it off there and push it up into the head. Kind of went a little bit different with the tentacles. That's how I saw it. I also wanted to give it a little bit more width as much as possible to avoid breaking. These are going to come loose and you'll be able to slide them into the head yourself to some capacity, something like that. Like, some assembly do, maybe you'll have to super glue them in yourself because I'm afraid of shipping these antenna attached to the body. I have a feeling that they'll snap during shipping. Anytime I've ever done something super thin like this, it always breaks. Especially out of resin. If it was out of some other kind of plastics, maybe you might be able to make it, but yeah, okay. So we got to do the monocle. Let's take a look at that reference image real quick. So he's got a monocle with a rope, and the rope goes nowhere. So probably not gonna have a. I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't say not gonna have a rope. I should say I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna have a rope. All right, so let's bring in a circle. Let's bring it. Let's just make it 64. It's probably way too obsessive. Probably not necessary, but um, that's what we're doing. Okay, so we'll shrink that down all the way, and I'm gonna just kind of overlay it on this eye just to kind of gauge how thick the original lens was. Okay. I have to turn off proportional editing. Okay, let's try to see it from the top view here. Okay. And we're not going to be able to put a lens. I mean, we could, in theory, figure out a way to put a lens, but um, I don't even want to. I don't even want to mess with that, to be honest. No offense, guys. I just couldn't pay me enough to do it. So now here comes the tricky part. How is this thing gonna float in midair? How is this how is this gonna work? It's a great question. In theory, what I was thinking was kind of protruding this further back in some area. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like extend this into the face. So extend this into the face only here. And that'll help create this kind of shape. Right, maybe a little less here. We're just like, we don't want it to be visible, but we need some solid connectivity here. If not, it's not gonna work. Um, what I'm gonna do here, now that I see that that'll work, is I'm gonna put just a small little bevel on this, just to to break how sharp this is. We'll give it a small little like 0.1 bevel, just to give it that. It's kind of sticking a little bit further out. What does, I think it kind of needs to be like either out here or, okay. Just get rid of some stuff that may or may not be in the way, just trying to figure out. I think this increasing the size helps. And I don't want it too close, but I do want it to be believable. And I kind of feel like it needs to rest on the face, but that's becoming quite difficult to figure out how to solve artistically, because I think artistically we were kind of there before, like before I scaled it up, right? I think it kind of looked pretty good when it was smaller. Uh, hmm. I kind of feel like it's too thin, and it's gonna create some issues with it being too thin. Man, it's just, I kind of feel like it was looking good-ish, and now it's not as good as it was. What's going on, everybody? I see we got a little spike in our concurrent views here. We got 2 people watching. I wonder if it's just me and one other person. Let's see here. The more I look at it, the weirder it looks. So I kind of feel like what? Let's see here. What are we gonna do? Now that we found love, what are we gonna do? What is... Yeah, nothing to do with what we're doing here, but it popped in my head. Alright, so now we have to figure out this great puzzle. Meaning, how am I gonna make this without this breaking off? It's always so simple to just throw something in there, but how are you gonna stop it from breaking off? That is the mystery. Alright, so let's see if we can just extrude that terribly like that. Okay. And that'll give us that. I think we kind of maybe went a little too far. Let's come back like, oh shit. We definitely fucked this thing up. Let's see here. It's not actually that bad. Alright, so what I was kind of hoping. So we kind of have like 2 things we can do here. One, we can ship it separate and they can be glued in place. Or we can glue it in place ourselves. Which is probably the way I'm most leaning towards. Just because it's... I don't know why he's got like a loop that loops back on itself. Not sure about that, but let me take a look, another look at that. The problem here is that picture is like this. And if that picture is like this, then that monocle I think is too small. Should be more like that. And we can add a small little chain hanging off of it. It's doable, something we can do. Okay. So let's see if we had all this. Let's take this, bring that here, take this, maybe a little bit smaller, ever so slightly. Let's make this a little bit smaller. And we can kind of give a little bit of... Okay, so let's try to see if we can get this a little bit that. Trying to throw a matte cap on here and just try to change up the color just slightly. You know what this is reminding me of? You know that what do they call it? That thing that they say that something that you think was one way never was. What is it? What do they call it? Like you think a brand was spelt some way, or you think something was in a brand and it never was. You know, they say like the monocle on the Monopoly guy was never there. And I'm telling you guys, you're full of shit. You're full of shit, man. I remember there being a monocle on the Monopoly guy, and they're like, no, there was never a monocle on the Monopoly guy. And I'm going, dude, it must have been on the cards, you know, the chance cards or the community, whatever. Like, dude, no, shut the fuck up. It was on the cards or something. I'm telling you. Don't lie to me. Don't tell me I don't remember something from my childhood. It was like on the Monopoly cards or something. And they're like, no, you're remembering the peanut commercial. I'm like, shut the hell up. Don't tell me what I'm remembering. This is like an internet joke to like mindfuck you, man. Like, you guys don't even know what you're talking about. Next, you're gonna tell me Barney was never purple. He was actually red. You just don't remember. And I'm like, nah, man. That's cap. Wow, this thing is a huge pain in the ass to feel satisfied. Alright, let's take a look. I don't know if this is getting closer or just about. I think it's definitely too big. We can scale it down like, oh, I don't know, maybe 20%. I feel that location is, let's see how that goes there. Honestly, that's pretty right on there, I would say. Now it's totally floating, which sucks. Um, which kind of sucks. Um, so this is where we kind of have to, unfortunately, do something, right? We gotta, maybe we leave it right there and we build up a little bit of skin. I'm gonna save this right here just in case I decide I'm not happy with what I do, but what I'm thinking here is I just add, let me turn off X symmetry, because I don't want this to be symmetric. I'm gonna build up um, a little bit of mass right here, and that'll be what holds. Let's see if we can just build up a little bit of a intersection here between the face and the glasses. I don't know if I'm ready for a new nib or a new pencil. This thing is a little rough. Maybe I need some screen cleaner. I can feel it's a little catchy on certain edges. So anyway, we're just trying to add. I think we can get away with more, honestly, now that I kind of zoom out a little bit. I think we can get away with quite a bit more. You know, let's try to add a little bit more, and then let's try to, like, he's got this little fold in his skin that's helping to catch that monocle. I know that looks a little excessive, but when we smooth it out, not much left. We'll kind of work our way. And now we have a good amount of impact, or we're holding this monocle by almost 25%, which is huge. That's a huge plus to make sure this doesn't break when we make the physical. Smooth that out. Yeah, and he's got a little English in him. Why am I thinking English? I don't know. He's got a little English in him with his little monocle. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little bead in the inside here. Just something, when I put these two together, I want this to be really in there. Make sure we have really good positive contact. Because we'll probably print this as one whole part, which sounds crazy. Maybe we won't, because I still gotta paint an eye, and I don't want to be going through this with my paintbrush and trying to paint the eye, but I want to have this nice supportive line that really holds a lot of this nice and stiffly. Uh, yeah, so we might just cut away. No, we're not gonna cut away. Although if I come up with all these plans and I was like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We may have to paint the eye. Might have to paint the eye. And then okay. I think that's pretty good. I'm not gonna add a chain to it because it's just gonna snap. So we got that. Let's see if we can just move my keyboard over. Let's see if we can. Okay. Alright, so what did we say earlier about this here? I think the idea was can we just we do need to come in a bit more. I would say like that. Actually, you know what? I want to come in so far that this hole here in the back is covered like that. Let's. We are gonna have to take a little bit away from here, so I'm gonna save here, similar to what we did before, just in case I have to go back. And there's no way. The damage has been done. Alright, let's turn X symmetry back on, and let's remove some of this material that's coming through, like so. Okay. Let's actually add material here to make sure we're fully supporting this section right here. Okay. See, we got nice contact over here. Okay. All right. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. I think it's a little too much, actually, so let's see. We bounce back. Let's see if we can actually take this. Let's go to the side view. Okay. Let's take this. Can we rotate this down a little bit? I think that's a lot more reasonable. I think I was maybe taking too much material to try to fit it, but I like how that looks better. Oh, hold on. X symmetry turned off. All right. We try to keep this as symmetrical as possible. I'm notorious with not sticking to that, but you know, let's try to add some material in right here and smooth it out. Okay. Do the same over here. Okay. What else we got? I'm going to mess around with the wings a bit. And then tomorrow, we'll try to do a touch-up date tomorrow. Right? So tomorrow's all touch-ups. I think that's a good plan. So, that being said, we need to, let's see here. We need to think of this pattern. What I'm gonna do, because this is not going to work exactly how I wanted it to. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna open up a reference of this bee on my other screen. Um, and I'm actually gonna play some music here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hand sculpt that detail on the wings based on what I see here. So we're gonna take some artistic privilege here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we'll start with the big one, I suppose, doesn't really matter. And I'm gonna go into sculpt mode. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to work with let's see here, X symmetry. Okay. I was trying to hide everything I don't need to look at. And this is just a hide tool. I'm not deleting it, I'm just hiding it. Okay. So we got that. And now we can kind of just look at this. I think that's a pretty good view. I'm gonna hide this so I don't need to look at it. And we got this whole part here. And we're gonna go to our mask tools. As you can see, we can mask now. And I'm going to select this pattern or paint this pattern custom on here. I'm going to start off with a very, very small brush. And I'll work my way up. It's going to allow me a little bit more flexibility. So the question is, what does this look like? So we kind of have these major parts. Something like this. It doesn't have to be necessarily perfect, but I'm going for a little bit of a more unique shape. And then I think we should basically go like that. So that's like what I'm thinking of here, okay? Not too crazy, I know. Sorry if you were expecting something a little bit more out of me. That's what we get. And then now I'm thinking the whole edge. It's a little too thick. Let's try to clean this up a little bit. I think that's a pretty cool pattern. And then we can do some smaller patterns inside. But if we were to invert this mask, and we do have to do a little bit of cleanup here to do what I'm thinking. Okay. So basically we're gonna get rid of everything that we don't want affected, which is all of that. And then what we'll do is we'll basically use this to push the surface in with that pattern. And then we can go in and we can add more veins and more details, but we kind of need like these major pockets. And we can clean up and do whatever we want with it, but this is kind of the cleanup that we're doing here. And then hopefully when I do this, it doesn't hit the front side. Oh, it does. God, gosh darn it. Alright, let's see what we can do here. How much does that hit the front? Not sure. Did we? Okay, so that didn't do anything. Okay. So let's see if we can get rid of some of this mask off the back without creating problems. And then we'll be able to push that surface in ever so slightly. And then we'll bring back everything that we hid. And we'll try to do the same idea, roughly, on the other wing. And then we'll see where we're at energy-wise. What do we got here? Yeah, we didn't lose everything. Cool. Sometimes I have issues with the controls bleeding through the shape because they're so thin and affecting the other side, but it doesn't look like we have that now. Okay. Okay. Alright, so now should I have done this? Should I have done this in the regular mode? Okay, so let's click G, or what we can do is we can click this layer and we want to invert this again. So mask, invert the mask. Whoa. Alright, let's try to bring that strength all the way down. Okay, way down. How about 0.05? Okay, how about 0.01? That looks pretty reasonable to me. 0.01. Let's see here. Can we go to like 0.02 F? F to scale down. Alright, let's see here. So height. So the strength we can come up. The height, can we go down to 5? Whoa, way too much. Let's go down to 1. Too much. 0.05. Okay. No, 0.5. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay. Mask, clear mask. Clear, clear, clear mask. Okay. How's that mesh doing? That's pretty. So normally we had been using like point 0.1 for a remesh. And that seems to be alright. That gave us enough detail. How about half strength? Alright, so we don't want these to be super pronounced. We want them to kind of be nice and soft. You know, at least that was my thought process here. And then I can hand draw some veins. But before we get there, we can kind of soften this up real nice. We can maybe even put some thickness on the outer edge. See, I think that looks great. Alright, so now let's see here. Can we now 25% strength? And can we add, let's come down a little bit. Okay, so now let's try to think here. How would this look? I don't even think these are gonna print because it's so small. But, you know, it's the honest attempt. Maybe we can try to make them a little bit bigger, maybe. And maybe that'll help to kind of, let's bring down the strength to maybe 0.325, something like that. If we get anything out of the printer, it'll help us paint this hopefully a little bit. If we get anything, it'll give us a little bit of a more bumpy texture, and that'll help give us a nice painting. That's what I'm gonna go with. I don't know if any of that's true. So, view, we go Alt H. Okay. So that's definitely better than plain. We definitely don't probably care for much on the backside, to be honest. But that's kind of nice. And if anything, I wonder if I come in here and try to. That's pretty cool. Pretty good. I like it. It's a pile of wild shit. It's pretty nice. Let's see here. Alright. So, that's about all I'm going to put into this tonight. I want to. Let's see. Yeah, so we definitely got some cool textures there. We're almost there. Now that we kind of have everything coming together, I'll probably go back and forth here, and here. Just add a little bit of texture here, a little bit of thing here, a little bit, before you know it's done. It's fully textured up. Now I'm like, oh man, I should add like these little veins all throughout the abdomens and I don't know about all that, but it's looking cool. I like it. I think this is going to be a very unique figurine. I think I'm not going to say it's like my favorite. Like the derp deity is my favorite and I have one. But I kind of feel like this has vibes like that. Like, there's just like this super over the top crazy figurine slash toy that like, wow, dude, like this is the kind of piece that you bring to a show to show off like sculpting capability, you know? And I was thinking like maybe I should do that. I should bring in like a couple of my favorite pieces to every show. And I only have like one other piece that I would bring, and then this could be another piece, and slowly, make sure that we also bring art toys, not just tabletop stuff. Like, we want to make sure we can show people our sculpting capability. So, folks, that is basically our stream for tonight. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the stream. I know I did. I kind of pushed myself to make sure I get on stream. I really need to be more consistent with it. If I can just eke out an hour, an hour and an hour a day every day gets you a long way, believe it or not. It may not sound like it, but just one simple hour a day is actually huge push potential. Well, any folks, that's Monday. I'm gonna try. No, I'm not gonna try. I will be streaming tomorrow. So if you guys like what you saw here, remember to like the video, subscribe, check the bell for announcements, and yeah, catch us tomorrow. Catch us up later in the week, And if you're not around, but you still want to ask questions or be a part of the community, make sure that you've joined us up in the Discord. Join us up in the Discord. Go to the welcome chat. Let us know that you watched the stream, and we'll get you a role that lets you into the Discord. We did lock the Discord down so we can't get spammed out by, scammers. But if you say, hey, I was in the stream, let me in, we'll let you in. All right, folks, have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.